Greg Steube, welcome. What do you make of this? Let me just put up what the Chinese are saying, and you can respond. So they're basically saying, hey, I think what they're saying, if I read this right, is that we're kind of hypocritical on this. Chinese Foreign Ministry, such a politicized and discriminatory move lays bare the U.S. Lying behind the so-called freedom and openness that the U.S. touts. So, in other words, we're the country where everybody's supposed to be free and open, and we're not in this case. So what would you say about the story?
Well, I mean, we're free and open for our citizens. We're not free and open for the #1 national security threat to the United States, which is the Chinese Communist Party. So I applaud Senator Rubio for taking this measure. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think all of the student visas in this country should be examined if they're coming from countries that put their national security before our national security. We know for a fact that the Chinese Communist Party is the #1 national security threat to the United States. They surveilled a huge blimp over our country a couple of years ago. There's been numerous incidences, and I think taking a step of having Chinese students here, they're obviously filtering information back to the Chinese Communist Party, and not having them in our country is a good step in the right direction.
So you feel that way about all international students or just Chinese international students? Let me show you a few numbers. Just pop this up, guys, from the tablet, the bar graph, first of all, that China's #2, as you see right over here behind India in terms of places of origin for international students. And the reason I ask, Congressman, is that some have made the argument that international students in general, and again, I'm not just talking about China, contribute to our economy. This is from the Association of International Educators, $44 billion in the academic year, last academic year. So should we be cracking down, as the president suggested, or capping kind of international students in general, or is this just a China-specific issue for you?
Well, China's the #1 national security threat to the United States, so that certainly is top of list. We're in the process of drafting a bill that won't allow their researchers to come to the Department of Energy. It's like 8,000 of them, Chinese Communist Party researchers that come into our country and are in our nuclear sites or in our energy sites. So certainly that should be #1. And as you saw on that graph, that's a large amount of the students that are here. But if it is a country that is a threat to the United States, those individuals should not be in our country. Obviously, allies of our nation, Israel, Great Britain, those type of things. If we have international students going back and forth, that's fine. They're not threats to our democracy and to our nation. The Chinese Communist Party is. So I think I applaud the secretary for doing what he's doing. And this is exactly the type of thing that we need to do to make our country safe.
Let me shift gears for a moment and ask you about the president's agenda. So the big, beautiful bill. As it goes over to the Senate, you see a handful of Republican senators who are not so enthusiastic about certain elements. And now it's like, well, will it pass, when you got the likes of Ron Johnson and Rand Paul and so forth raising questions? What's going to happen for this to this bill? Are you going to be able to get it through the Senate, or some of the stuff that you guys had in it is going to be taken out?
That's a great question. I mean, the Senate's going to make changes. I think they're going to make good conservative changes. They may make the bill more moderate. I don't know. It was quite threading the needle to get it through the House.
Right.
I mean, you had conservatives like myself who supported it, and you had moderates from New York or in Democrat districts that supported it. So I would encourage the Senate. They're probably not going to want to change it too much. Because whatever changes they make, it's going to have to come back to the House for us to approve it. There's some things I would like for them to do, like cut more spending. I don't support the increase that we've done on salt, but if you reduce that increase in salt too much, you may lose the Republicans on the House side. So it's a delicate balance they're going to have to do. I would imagine the White House and the president are going to be very involved in what the Senate is doing. We'll wait to see, but the time is ticking. The president wants this bill passed on his desk by July 4th. They've got a couple weeks to do that, because whatever changes they make, that bill's got to come back to the House, and we got to get the votes to pass that on the House floor, and that's going to take some time as well.
All right. Hey, again, one other thing I wanted to run by you real quick before you go. I saw it earlier. I thought it was a joke, but no, it's not. It's serious, and I want to ask you why it's serious. You want to change the D.C. Metro or part of it to like the Trump train? Did I read that right? I saw you had a little card up, and I said, well, maybe he's joking. But no. You're serious, but so there must be a reason. What is the reason?
Well, the reason is the Metro is, if you look at a horrible thing of bureaucracy, that is the Metro. And what better thing of all across America, Americans wanting to come to the Washington, D.C. and ride the Trump train to revitalize and make auto rail great again in Washington, D.C. It needs a lot of help from new appointments and some leadership there. And what better way than to name it after our president and encourage Americans to come to D.C.
All right, got the hat on him and everything. Hey, and by the way, we were just talking about this tariff ruling, okay, in our last section. And between now and then, it just came in that a federal appeals court has now granted the Trump administration's request to temporarily pause that lower court ruling that struck down most of his tariffs. So, Congressman, that would be, a temporary reprieve here for the president. Any thoughts on that? So they appealed temporarily. It's been granted.
Look, the president has wide authority under our law and under our Constitution to levy tariffs on whatever country and nation he wants to. So I suspect that the United States Supreme Court will rule in the president's favor ultimately. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to file lawsuits for various reasons. But the Constitution and the law is clear. The president has wide and broad latitude to levy tariffs on foreign nations as he sees fit.
All right, so temporary pause. Again, we'll come back to that, just breaking. Congressman, thank you for everything today. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Congressman from Florida, Congressman Steube. Next.